Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is JL Priest Radio once again, and today we have a special interview for you with the one and only. Can you introduce yourself, sir?
Khayaan, the one and only.
So, for the viewers, who are you?
Well, my name is. Should I look into the camera, by the way?
Yes, please.
My name is Khayaan Ahmed. I am also known as Keith. That's my pet name that evolved from a chance encounter on NCS, and I just kind of kept it. I embraced it because a lot of people couldn't pronounce my name there.
NCS is sick.
NCS was sick, without a doubt. Big up NCS. Woo! We're not sponsored by them, but still I'd be very happy to be sponsored by them.
So,
Anyway, was that me? That's me.
so, if you could kill a historical figure, who would you kill and why?
Who would I kill? That's a good question, actually. Kill any historical figure, good or bad?
Yeah, good or bad.
Right. Oscar de la Vanga.
Oh, who is this person?
Oscar de la Vanga was I believe, a Waffen SS captain. I'm not quite sure of his rank, but he led a specialized unit, a specialized death squad, and he was without a doubt the most hated man in the German army, or in all of Germany, because he was that sadistic, cruel, and brutal that he was given his own division just so no one else would have him, because he was that much of a messed up person. And he tortured, beat, raped, murdered countless, him and his division, who he was especially brutal to, as in he'd shoot them if they talked back to him. Genuinely, that's actually happened, I believe. Yeah. By all accounts, he was a man to be feared, to be hated, and just in general, like he was just a bad guy. He was just not a bad guy, and his death wouldn't really affect the rest of the world. Because I think the thing with like everyone says, when someone says like who'd you kill a historical figure, everyone always immediately goes to I'd kill Hitler, or I'd kill Chairman Mao or Stalin or something. The thing with that is, I think just killing one person won't solve the problem. If you killed Hitler, Goebbels or Goring will take over. They were just as bad. You killed Mao, like someone else will take over. I'm not really sure about the Chairman Mao's regime. Really, I haven't really read up on that. And if you killed Stalin, say I don't know, Khrushchev would have taken over, or what was his name? I've forgotten his name. Beria. That's it. Beria would have taken over. And I think history has a way of replacing those who were killed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, if someone dies, it's been portrayed in countless media, like films and television and such, like kill someone and someone else will take his place, you know. But I think de la Vanga, while I think he was part of the impression of Nazis being, you know, horrible, evil people. I think he was one of the people who cultivated that impression, besides the people who were, you know, involved in the Holocaust. Speaking of the Holocaust, Reinhard Heydrich, he was known, I believe, as the architect of the Holocaust. I think that was his title. He was the man who basically started this all. He was assassinated. There was a movie about it. It's called Anthropoid. It's a very good watch, starring Cillian Murphy, I believe. And he was not a nice guy, obviously. I mean, could you really call a Nazi a nice guy if you think about it? But yeah, I'd say de la Vanga. I believe that's how you say his name. I'm really not sure about all these things. I didn't really prepare these in advance, you know. But yeah, de la Vanga.
Okay. So the typical question that many teachers ask, and they judge you on your answer. What 3 items would you bring on a desert island?
3 items that I bring on a desert island?
Yes.
3 items. Ooh. That's such a trademarked answer. Not a trademarked answer. That's such a that's just a standard. I can't speak today. That's such a standard question. Everyone always says that. And yet, so many people don't really have an answer.
Yeah.
See, it's really dependent, you know, where is the Pacific Atlantic, you know, how's the waters, like level, how's the salt concentration in the water, you know, what kind of fish are there, what kind of, is it just, how big is the island, you know, how much vegetation is going there. I mean, a lot of that is really dependent, you know, is there any natural structures, any natural landforms like caves or hills or mountains or such on this desert island. It's really dependent on a lot of factors. I'd say three things. Definitely a spear. I think fishing rod would take too long. I think fishing rod is, and especially if you're out in the shallows, you know, a fishing rod probably works best if you're right in deep water, like say in a lake, like the edge of a lake or something.
Yeah.
I think on the beach it doesn't really work as well unless you have a really long fishing pole. But then again, you're not going to catch a whole lot because of if it's a beach. Even if it's especially a populated beach, fish are going to stay away, obviously, because it's populated. People are going in the water all the time, the water's getting disturbed. They're not going to go near that. Actually, that actually reminds me of one thing as well. Do you know the belief that every year you eat, I think, 8 spiders in your sleep?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, that's actually a lie. That was actually a part of a social experiment to determine how quickly false information spread on the internet. That's completely false. You know why? Because spiders would never go near your mouth. Because spiders, imagine, your mouth is massive to a spider. It's a big gaping hole.
Scary.
It's literally spewing out hot air, and you're breathing, like you're breathing loud as well. Like when you're breathing, you're not controlling your breathing. You're breathing loudly, and you're probably drooling as well. Because I know I sleep with my mouth open. The spider's going to stay well away from that. Something loud and massive, spewing hot air. You know, it's not going to go anywhere near that. You know? So definitely, I'd say a spear, because spear fishing, especially in the shallows. You know, they've been doing that for thousands of years. Philippines, they do it. You know, you see it all the time in movies and such. I believe there's a technique, not technique, I suppose there's a technique where you put rocks in the shallows. You're right there, Lennox.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm not boring you, am I?
No, I'm good.
You put rocks in the shallows, and when the tide is high, the fish will come and swim in. But when the tide goes down, they'll stay there. When the tide goes down, and they'll be stuck. You can spear them right in there, and spear catching fish. I think if it was an island with a forest or some sort of vegetation, I think I'll be able to climb at least. I mean, I like to think I'm quite athletic, so. Second thing, mosquito net, unless there was a mountain.
Okay.
Because or very high elevation, because the higher you go, the less mosquitoes you get, because mosquitoes can be so dangerous. Mosquitoes, I believe, are responsible for almost half of all human deaths, something along those lines. I think that's probably an overblown statistic, but I've read something along those lines. They are responsible for the most human deaths in history, without a doubt. I'm 100% certain of that. So they are dangerous little bastards, and mosquito net is basically essential, because if you can find any kind of shelter, like say a cave, a natural formation, a cave, you don't need to do any work on it. You're safe from the wind, from the rain, from the cold, well, relatively cold. Even if you have all that, you're still going to get hit by mosquitoes, and eventually you're going to die from it.
Yeah.
So either by disease or something else, or like infection or something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure on the specifics of like getting bit by a mosquito. Actually, I've the only 2 spots on my ear.
Alright.
When I was younger, when I was very young actually, I was about 5 years old. I was on holiday in Egypt, and I got 2 mosquito bites here.
Yeah.
And they came to spots, and when my mum popped them, because they were itchy. I don't even know how she did it to this day, because they were like proper spots, you know what I mean, like mosquito spots, like chicken pox type things.
Yeah.
I popped them, and there were these 2 little dark spots. And like I thought they'd just go away in time, they never go away. These two are mosquito bites. I think this bit is a mosquito bite as well. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember having this when I was little.
Yeah.
But then again, something for a lot let's check. So spear, a mosquito net. I'd say. Rope. Yeah, rope. Because you can just use rope for massive variety of things.
Yeah.
You can make rope out of plastic. Did you know that?
Yeah, I guess you can.
Yeah, the King of Random, Grant Thompson.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, it's a great video, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really interesting. Did you see the one where they tested out how strong it was
Yeah, I think I have.
with the cars and
Yeah.
they pulled them apart and the soda bottle ropes survived the longest?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great. Very interesting. I suppose it's quite like finicky to make, but it's very strong. I mean, you can imagine. It's not very comfortable, I'd assume, because it's plastic. It's not plastic, so.
Do you support feminism?
Yeah, of course I do. I think people who don't support feminism these days, well, most people these days don't support feminism are just either plain chauvinists or don't know what it's become. I think feminism at its core is a very noble thing. It's a very noble thing, and I think it should be, applied in everything. I think that the strides that have been made concerning women's rights, from the suffragettes to the to today even.
March of Progress.
The March of Progress, exactly. It's been astronomical, really, when you think about it. I mean, if you go back to the 1850s, women had no rights, basically.
Yeah.
They were house slaves, simple as.
Yeah.
They weren't paid. They were seen as caregivers. They were like a nanny, except you didn't pay them.
Yeah.
And nowadays you have women in office. You have women judges. You have women CEOs. You have all this. You have women in some of the highest positions in the world. You have women running for president. You have the women prime minister. You have two, in fact. I'm not saying they're any good. Maggie is pretty good. You can't deny. Yeah. Feminism today. Feminism has become skewed by leftism, far leftists especially. And the thing with far leftists is, I actually read do you know who the Unabomber is?
I haven't heard of that.
Ted Kaczynski. You might have heard the name Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber was a terrorist, an urban terrorist in the I believe in the San Francisco area, tri-state area, I believe, who operated in that, and he was an activist who sent bombs in mail parcels to random people.
Oh.
He killed 2 people. He maimed how many more? I don't remember the specifics. I don't remember I can't speak today. I don't remember the specifics of a lot of things I read, to be fair. Like the gunfight at the OK Corral, I was reading about that yesterday. Very interesting. There's a lot of political stuff leading up to that. But I digress. It took the police 17 years to catch him. It was at the time it was the most expensive FBI manhunt in the history of the FBI.
Wow.
Took him 17 years to catch him because he'd actually been, you know what San Francisco is, right?
Yeah.
He'd actually been living in Montana, and he'd been driving down about 18 hours to go and post these parcels to make them think he was in San Francisco.
Wow.
But he was actually up in Montana. So he was a very, very intelligent man. And he sent a manifesto, basically. It was known as a manifesto. He sent a thesis called Industrial Society and Its Future to all the major news outlets and to the FBI as well, telling them to publish it, otherwise he would blow up an airline. They did, obviously. Even though, the policy that the United States does not negotiate with terrorists kind of got thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the specifics, there's probably something more to it. I believe there's a Netflix series about it. Yeah, and I've read the manifesto, I have it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's about, things about, no idea actually. It's over 100 pages long, it's very, very, very long.
Yeah.
Very long. I think nearly 1,000 paragraphs,
Wow.
something along those lines. And he outlined a lot of things which genuinely, I honestly believe, this is my genuine opinion, I think a lot of things he said, I think he was right. I don't condone the methods he used at all, without a doubt. I do not condone violence as in protest of anything. You know, I think that history has proven that things can be solved without violence. Big issues can be solved without violence. You know, I mean, occasionally, yes, it can. It can speed up progress, but at what cost? If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Would you trade human lives? How many human lives for for a new law to be put in place?
Well, I try and remember which film it is, but when the Avengers have to sign the UN agreement whether to
Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War. And it's kind of the argument between should we save people's lives and people be hurt in the process, or should we save more but some people die in the process who are innocent.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That was one of the core themes of it.
Yeah.
Do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? Maybe who knows? Anyway, a lot of things he said. Sorry, I'm really going off on a tangent, aren't I? A lot of things he said. I would highly recommend you read it. It's available like whenever you want.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend you read it because some of the points he makes about leftist psychology. Bear in mind, this was written in the 80s, right? In the 1980s. Some of the points he makes about leftist psychology are very valid, even today. Like, so he talks about the names. Oh, this chair. He talks about the names for say like calling a woman a chick or a broad, or fellow or calling an African American man a black, you know.
Yeah.
Originally, calling a woman a chick or broad, originally that had no derogatory connotation.
Yeah.
It's in the same way that you call a guy a dude or a fellow or call him guy.
Yeah.
Originally these had no derogatory connotation. Originally these were not seen as like things like you call a girl a chick because she's not as good as you, because she's inferior to you, or in some way like that. He made the point that leftists have attached these words and have any derogatory connotations. Leftists attach these derogatory connotations to them, even though that was never the case. There's another point he makes, I believe. Exact wording of it. Something along the lines of about college professors or something like that. Oh yeah. The vast majority of people who are leftists, who are far leftists, like the SJWs of today, vast majority of them are middle class white people, college professors, stuff like that. People who have not actually experienced say, institutionalized racism. People who have not experienced discrimination on a daily basis.
Yeah. People
who have literally tried to. He said that the leftists attach themselves, they identify themselves with this group because they themselves feel inferior, because they themselves feel like they have, and I think that's the case with a lot of college students today. There's the education system in America is and you could argue in Britain today, the education system is skewed. The education system does not really allow for any any mental health.
Meritocracy doesn't really exist.
Meritocracy does not exist. I wholeheartedly refuse to believe that meritocracy actually exists.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. Seen meritocracy exist firsthand. But that's a different story. He attaches it. The leftists they themselves feel inferior, which is, you could argue, is a result of the education system and the effect it has on mental health. Lack of self-esteem. The only thing that matters are grades. You don't matter as a person. What matters is numbers on the paper.
Yeah.
So he said that because they feel so inferior. He said there were two reasons why leftists were so vehement about minority rights and such. He said it was because of over-socialization. I don't remember what he was talking about with that one. It was very interesting, I know that much, but I don't remember what he was talking about. And the feelings of inferiority. And it was very interesting to read. I highly recommend you read it.
Yeah. So on to a less serious topic. What is your favourite food chain?
Favourite food chain?
Yeah.
Ooh, haha. I'd have to go with Burger King. Burger King, even though Burger King is very expensive, like the amount, what you're getting really, at the end of the day, what you're getting a big beef patty, You're getting a big beef patty that tastes great. It's a big burger, man.
Yeah.
You're paying $6.99 for a meal, for a Whopper meal. Have you seen the size of a Whopper? It's big, man.
You get a lot of chips, don't you?
You do get a decent amount of chips. I think my favourite chips are Burger King chips, without a doubt. Burger King.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My second favourite, I'd have to go with Subway, because Subway is like so. I just love Subway, man. Subway, you can go like. I'll put it this way. You wouldn't go to Mackey's on your own. You wouldn't go to Burger King on your own. You would go to Subway on your own.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I actually, before I'd ever gone to a Burger King in my life, I only actually ever started eating Burger King. The first Burger King I ever had in my life was when I was in Turkey last year.
Alright.
I mean, I eat it nowadays because of, I eat it like sometimes with my lunch money. But I couldn't eat it like when I was with my parents because they're very fat Muslims and I'm not. That's a different story, by the way. They don't know that. So, Subway. I actually, in my high school days when I was at Bridgewater, which was just outside Stockton-Heath, and I used to go into the Stockton-Heath Subway so much, like every other day at least. I used to go in there so much that the guy at the counter actually knew me by name and knew the order I was gonna pick. So I'd walk in and be like, all right, Khayaan, do you want the usual, then steak and cheese? Yeah. And it's just like it's so surreal. Like when you're on first name basis with the guy who's serving you your food, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You go there that much, so you actually strike up a rapport, which really speaks volumes about my money spending habits. I'm not a big fan of Mackey's, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd go to McDonald's with some mates and I'd have, say, a McFlurry. Yeah. I'd have a McFlurry or I'd have some apple pies.
More of a social thing.
It's a social thing, yeah. Chips are nice. Big Mac, I'll have a Big Mac. If it's there, I'll take it, Yeah. But, I'm not a huge fan. I think it's just a bit too airy for me, if you know what I mean. Okay. It's not dense. You don't feel, if you're biting into a Big Mac, you don't feel it the same way as if you were biting into a Burger King meal, you know what I mean?
Like a Whopper.
Yeah, you can feel the meat, the mouth feel is incomparable.
Like an hour later when you're coming back home, you feel kind of hungry after McDonald's, but when after Burger King you feel less.
That's the same thing as well. McDonald's, it doesn't fill you up. Yeah. Unless you have like three Big Macs. I've actually had 3 Big Macs in my life. I went to Turkey and my family always goes to Turkey, it's really annoying. I actually had 3 Big Macs back to back.
Wow.
I wasn't even full. Went home and had dinner at the hotel. But yeah, chips are alright. A bit too salty for me. But overall, I don't think I'd go to for what you're getting. I think for what you're getting for the price, it's not worth it. Because if I'm going to be paying $5.99 or whatever for a meal, for a Big Mac meal, I expect to be full up by the time I finish it. Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, what subjects do you take at Priestley College?
I take civil project, English language, sociology. I completely forget. Every time someone asks me this, I completely forget about it, like in a split second. Yeah. And modern history. I took EPQ because I thought it was going to be a good thing, and also it's an essay-based subject. Literally, it's based around essays. Yeah. And because I want to go and do law at university. Essay-based subjects, they're very useful in that field. Same reason I took history. Also, not just because I'm actually interested in history, I read a lot, as you can probably tell. Yeah. It's also an essay-based subject. Sociology, I've always been interested in sociology. Yeah. If not sociology, then psychology, but psychology is very maths-based nowadays, and I'm not really into that. I can't do maths for shit. But sociology, I've always been interested in. I think all the major theories, functionalism, Marxism, communism, all that jazz. I think they're interesting, yeah, and it really speaks volumes about our society. How there is I suppose there is no perfect theory. There's no perfect theory. Like say postmodernists believe. I think postmodernists, because everyone says they're postmodernists nowadays. I hear people saying I'm actually a postmodernist, but that's postmodernists are inherently contradictory. Because if nothing can be certified, then what's certified?
The theory is very
yeah. If nothing can be certified, if nothing is certain, then I mean, I agree with postmodernism to an extent. I think we can't really be entirely sure of everything.
Yeah.
There's certain things that we cannot be sure of, really, like gravity. Gravity is still a theory. We base a lot of our life around it, like a lot of scientific theory is based around it. But we don't know. We're not 110% sure.
Yeah.
It's still a theory.
Yeah.
Like say the Big Bang, that's still a theory. We have ample evidence that it exists. We have ample evidence that it happened. You know, same with gravity. In fact, we have ample evidence, and it's based around a lot of our scientific theory concerning space and such. And they've come up fine. I'd assume so at least. But for all we know, it could be flipping unicorns pulling us down.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I do have a question. Do you believe more in the religion side or science side of how the world began?
Oh, science, without doubt.
Yeah.
Science, all day. I think religion is an organised sham.
And I agree with the science part, not because I'm an atheist. I just believe that.
Proof.
Yeah, because really, if you think about it, we don't really have proof that someone's in the sky controlling your life. Because if that's true, why do we have diseases? Why are people getting killed?
See, the thing I've been thinking about is everyone always says there's a plan, right? Everyone always says, oh, yeah, God has a plan. God knows what's up. God's doing this. God's keeping an eye on us. God's influencing our lives on a daily basis. How do we know that? The thing is, though, hear me out there. What if, I came up with this after a really long night of drinking and smoking. What if, there is, say, a super being, be it God or, Vishnu or whatever. Maybe there is a super being, but how do we know that he has a plan, he has anything planned out for us? That's the thing, though, the arrogance of civilization to believe that a super being actually cares about us. Maybe all these laws of physics that we believe in, all the things in the universe, maybe he just put them there. Maybe
Experimenting.
Not just experimenting. Maybe he just he put them there, and he just left it. He just left it to do its own thing. Say evolution. Evolution is a human concept. Evolution makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe he put down the keys to evolution and he just left it. Yeah. The whole idea of it, the whole concept, he created it and then he just left it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it is with all planets. All civilization, all human life, all life. He just left it. It wasn't planned. It's just why not?
Yeah. What do you think about that one from a Christian point of view?
No
That's
comment.
my point of view.
No comment. Oh no.
No, but I can see from his perspective where he's coming from. I can understand.
So my experience of religion is a lot more what's the word, complicated than that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in I live in a very devout Muslim household, and I myself am about as far from devout as it gets. I eat pork regularly. Literally, I went and I got a pork sausage roll from Greg's 2 days ago. And I eat pork a lot. I drink. I smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I have been clean since 19th of July 2017. That was a fun time. Anyway, I'm about as far away from religion as.
So I'd like to ask you quite an interesting question. Have you got any skeletons in your closet?
What do you mean by that? What's your dumb it down for me.
Have you got any dark things that you've got hidden?
Oh yeah, sure. Everyone does. If no one has any dark closets, you wouldn't really there wouldn't be any. That's like saying if everyone was unique, just wouldn't keep things would be boring.
Yeah.
Everyone's got secrets they don't want to talk about, Everyone's got that. Everyone's got things they wish they could have done differently.
Yeah.
I myself have a lot of those things. I have a lot. There's a lot of times I wish I could have done things differently in my life. I won't share them. I might share a couple, but who knows?
I'll have to wait and see.
I kind of did share one just now by talking about my atheism, despite living and growing up in an extremely religious household.
That's quite a big step, really.
Yeah.
So, where do you think you will be in 10 years' time from now?
That's a hard question because that really depends on lots of factors. So I'm 16 now. I'm 17 in 4 months. So I'll be 26 at that time. I'll just finish. Well, I'll hopefully I'll have a job. I mean, I like to think I'll have a job. I wouldn't have. I sincerely doubt I'll have for kids. I don't really want to have kids until I'm at least 30. Any earlier than that, that kind of cuts into my time to be, who, just like I think.
Build your career.
No, I think like I think my 20s are the time like what I can do. Like it's like being a uni student but with money.
Yeah.
You,
I have a lot more opportunity.
you do make a good point about. Sorry, I keep on going into this, but you do make a good point about having kids at a certain age, because there's many people, say our age, who are having kids now, and you're just thinking you've got your whole life ahead of you, and even though kids, they are nice at times, you kind of ruining your life. Not really ruin it, but kind of like
You're severely limiting it.
yeah, by having kids so young. Like if you want a kid that young, fine, that's cool, but it will be easier for you to have a kid in the future, so you can live your life and not focus on.
And that ties into the whole abortion debate,
Yeah.
Like how, by keeping the child that you have, you could be, you imagine the amount that's going to have in your life, especially if you're young. You get like people having, there's actually someone that like I know of who was actually engaged, and she's the year below.
Wow.
Genuinely like engaged, like has a ring. It's a scary thought, like how quickly I believe. I think media has a lot to do with it. People are kind of like not inclined to, I suppose. People want to grow up as quick as they can. People want to, live like the life that they see on the TV, and have that as quick as they possibly can, Like, I think people don't really realise what that entails. They see it and they just think, I've got to have that, I want to have that, but they don't really think about the consequences of it. And the same thing like with abortion. People, a lot of the time, the argument against abortion is it's cruel, or it's evil, or that child could have such a future ahead of it as, oh, it's my child, I don't want it to die. But at the same time, I think I'm what's I forgot what's called. I'm pro-choice. I think if abortion should be legal completely, because I think at the end of the day, a woman has a moral right to decide what to do with her body, And I think the cut-off time for an abortion should be at least 20 weeks, because that's proven that's when the fetus can feel pain, and you don't want to put a child through that kind of pain, really, Put someone who doesn't even really know what it is, And like at the end of the day as well, you're putting an emotional connection to something that isn't really a person ahead of your own well-being. Especially that applies doubly at a young age, because you have so much, to live. There's so much you haven't done yet, really. There's so much you could be doing, but instead you decide to have a baby. And I'm not saying that babies are bad. Babies can be like one of the greatest experiences of your life. Having children, it's one of the most fulfilling experiences, of course. But like, you have to have time to grow up, really. And the media, I think, enforces the idea that you have to grow up as quick as possible. You see. I've seen 12-year-olds wearing crop tops and like short shorts, like jean shorts type things, and like it's kind of sad when you think about it, like kids don't do the things that they're expected to do anymore. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids go out and actually literally this morning I was reading on Sky News. The Northwest spends the most on average spends the most alcohol on average.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my private actually, and it didn't surprise me one bit. That ties into like people are not being forced to like want to grow up as quick as they can, and that really that impacts their their what's the word? I can't speak today. That impacts their time to be just be a kid. I think that's really important, especially as you're growing up, because like you can have some of the best memories of your life as a kid, or you can have some of the worst. but like through that your entire life will be affected. And if you're not having those great experiences, then you can't. I suppose then you can't learn. But if you have those bad experiences, you can't learn either. But like having a great childhood and a crappy adult life is like that. That's something I suppose you can fall back on. Those memories that you have, those times that you spent in being a kid, being happy. Like in contrast to having a crappy childhood and a good life, or a decent or better than your childhood adult life. You have some. You can say to yourself, "I'm better than that. I'm better than who I was before," or those things don't happen to me anymore, so I can be happy here.
Happy to be yourself.
Yeah, happy to be myself. Like having a child, really especially growing older, like growing up as quick as you can. That really takes that learning process out of it. I think you're learning too quickly, or you've not learned enough, and you've gone into it head first. I think that's just sad. I think it's sad because people just feel forced to do these things.
So, what is your favourite song, movie, and TV series?
Well, the subject matter just shifted so.
Yeah, that's a massive jump.
Series.
We went from abortion to what is your favourite subject? What is your favourite song?
Yeah.
My favourite song. I don't know. I listen to a lot of music. I don't go anywhere without my headphones.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, next I'll see you in a bit.
I'll be back. I'll speak to my tutor.
Oh, go. Take it. Fine.
I'm back.
What was it now? Favourite song. It would have to be either "Let's Stay Together" by Al Green, "Save Yourself" by Carlo, and I only discovered that song a couple of days ago, or "Tadao" by FKJ and Masego, which is one of the most aggressively groovy songs I've ever heard in my life.
So, what I want to do is I'll ask you one more question, and what is usually happening in the interview is I want to ask his questions. So what we'll do is we're going to do a game show feature to 5 at a time. So,
Game show feature.
Yeah. So, if you could review the concept of high school or TripAdvisor, what would you rate it?
Oh God.
I'll take over the legs.
Alright, you just decided to do that.
I'll be like, so that.
I mean, what if the recording cuts out? I can't know. Don't think about that.
Yeah, I tell the legs.
Well, if it messes up, it's your fault anyway.
Yeah.
That's a strange question. If you could rate high school, like this high school or this high school in general?
Bridgewater High School you went to.
Bridgewater High School. 7, yeah.
Okay, it's a good rating.
Teachers were dickheads, people who are it's just like being in high school. You can get teachers who are good, teachers who are bad. You get people who are good guys, people who are bad guys. So it's really like there's a lot of variables you consider when you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I had a pretty good experience in my high school. But I think that's because when I moved, I was in a very dark place in my life. I think very, very dark place in my life, and I was just really, really. I was on the brink. I was on the brink. And I think leaving my old high school and going to Bridgewater, I'm a very, very, very different person.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe in the concept of people change. I think that people change, but not fundamentally.
Okay.
Or they just reveal more parts of themselves. Or it's you can change the environment of the person, and that can change their attitudes. You can change attitudes, you can change outlooks, you can change things like that. But you can't change who you are fundamentally.
So in Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge, you feel like he's changing the players too radically?
I think he was a product of his environment.
Yeah.
He was a product of his environment, and seeing really like having a change in outlook. He changed his outlook because he was a miser, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then he saw the hardship of the people around him and the pain that he caused, and he remembers the good times in his life, you know, and that changed his outlook because he saw from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that changed him. Fundamentally, I don't think